watch for children, be alert, and stay focused. I would also be remiss to not call out that September 18th to the 24th is Rail Safety Week. And I would encourage everyone, including the students in your life, to know the signs and signals and only walk, ride, or drive across railroad tracks and designated crossings. Thank you.
Thank you, Karima. Before we get into the agenda, I'd like to take a moment to acknowledge and welcome our newest board member, Mark McQueen, who joined us in June of this year. Mark has worked in the financial services industry for over 30 years and he has held several leadership positions in that capacity. Mark, we welcome you to the board and look forward to working with you. I'd also like to take the opportunity to thank Minister Mulroney and Associate Minister Cho for their support and partnership. And on behalf of the board, I'd like to formally welcome Minister Sakaria and Associate Minister McCarthy, who joined us briefly this morning just to say hello, that we look forward to a continued partnership with both of them, and we'll look forward to working with them. We also have some correspondence that's been distributed to the board. We have a letter from HFAM received September the 5th regarding fare integration, and a letter from Stop the Trains in Our Parks Coalition received on September the 5th regarding the Eglinton Crosstown West extension. On our agenda today are our usual quarterly reports along with updates on rapid transit, GO and UP capital projects, ridership campaign, Presto, and communications and community engagement activities. I'll now invite our CEO, Phil Verster, to give his CEO report. Phil?
Thank you very much, Chair, and good morning, everyone. It's been an exciting and extremely busy quarter for both construction and our expansion of travel options across the region. To give you a sense of a few of the events, we've introduced new payment options, debit and credit contactless payments on the TTC network, which has been extremely well received. In the first 2 weeks of operation only, we've got more than 700,000 taps on the TTC. It's very popular. We've introduced new bus services, including more trips on routes 15, 41, 47, 56, 88, and also new express options on those routes, just in time for back to school. These changes are approximately 34% of an increase in school trips compared to last year. We've also going to share with you today new and enhanced partnerships like the one with the CNE, and that will see an increase in off-peak ridership in the years to come. On our capital program, we reached a number of really exciting milestones. There's very encouraging progress on the Finch West LRT. Later this month, crews will install the final canopies at the Western Road stop. In total now, 116 canopies will be in place across the whole of the alignment. Also, permanent signage is being installed at Finch West Station, and road restoration works are taking place all along the alignment in different sections, where crews are now paving and installing bike lanes. Very excited about Finch West. We also continue the pace with the Ontario line. In July, we circulated a video highlighting the features of the future Ontario line trains, and we did that on social media. This was seen over 95,000 times and got picked up by several news outlets, including the Toronto Star, CP24, Blog TO, and CTV News, with an estimated reach of 50 million people. Also, following a comprehensive community-inspired design competition for the public spaces along the rail corridor in Riverside and Leslieville, the winning design firm and their concepts were revealed at a public open house in July 27. And we're very proud of the relationship we've built with that community from the more difficult and more challenging start of this project. The Ontario Line request for proposals, which is a really important backbone to the Ontario Line, is putting in place the necessary contracts to deliver the Ontario Line. We'll close this fall for the 2 remaining major works packages, namely for the Pape Tunnel and underground stations contract, and also for the elevated guideway and stations contract. These two contracts include the stations and civil works needed to deliver the northern half of the line. The Scarborough subway extension tunnel boring machine, lovingly nicknamed Diggy Stardust, has advanced more than half a kilometer on the project itself. This is exciting for us because Diggy is the largest machine of its kind being used for a transit project in Canada, and it is digging. And it's digging a tunnel large enough to accommodate 2 sets of train tracks. Also, I'd like to share with you that on Eglinton Crosstown, we've been working with CTS over the last couple of weeks, 8 weeks, in a very collaborative fashion, and we have assisted CTS to improve the schedule and to add the different logic activities that's required to give us a robust schedule going forward. There's still a high level of risk in the test and commissioning phase, which is something that we are very focused on and that we will assist CTS to manage in the weeks and months to come. We will share more with the public at regular public events, and we're looking forward to get more of that discussion in the public domain. The summer work began at our Aurora GO station on our GO expansion program, and we're making improvements like adding a second track to allow for future two-way services along much of the Barrie line, and we're also extending pedestrian tunnels and constructing a new passenger pickup drop-off area for this very important station. GO trains are now also running on the Davenport Diamond, and that guideway lifts our trains above several busy streets and also above the CP rail tracks. Construction continued with the demolition of the eastern half of the Bloor Street West Bridge, which will be rebuilt to accommodate increased services on the Barrie line. And then we're very excited about the first half of the Eastern Avenue Bridge that was demolished in July, and it was done ahead of schedule. A new wider bridge will be built to accommodate the East Harbour Transit Hub, as well as the overall increase in train frequency along the Lakeshore East Corridor. And while it's only a bridge, the reason why we're excited about this is it's the momentum that we have in that particular project to build what we see as really the Union Station of the East, which would have make up a fabulous part of the network that we're trying to build across Toronto. These are just some examples of the investments that over the next 10 to 15 years will increase our services and our capacity by 2.5 times. And Stephanie and Andrew will, in the public session, talk somewhat about that. Now, when we think about our community engagement agenda, over the last 2 months, there were 267 outreach activities that included public meetings, pop-ups, walks, canvasses, open houses, and a big part of what we changed in recent years is our community engagement team actually having more boots on the ground, knocking on doors and reaching into communities and talking to people personally. And over the last 2 months, 21,000 interactions happened in different communities. We find this is a very positive way to get our message across. And shortly, Kelly, Raj, and Greg from our team would speak to you about how we are connecting communities and businesses and implementing the types of mitigations that's necessary to support our active community consultation and feedback. But I want to touch on some of the community feedback on our projects, complex projects such as the Ontario Line. You know, it requires us to rethink how we build and to rethink how we work with communities, to make sure we learn lessons from earlier contracts and make it more pragmatic and more effective to build these construction projects in the city. And some of the lessons we have learned is on the Ontario Line, to purchase more property so that we can limit the number of lane and full street closures and move the build phases off the public roads as much as that is possible. This will help to lessen congestion in the city, minimize disruption to communities, and minimize the disruption to businesses and have more accessibility during the construction phases. That means we're buying more properties, and that was part of our strategy. Now, no matter how we look at this, monetary amounts that we offer to buy properties and the help we try to give on relocation is sometimes of little comfort when it comes to land and businesses that people have committed their lives to and have worked at. While we do end up in a positive place in most cases in negotiations, there will always be certain property acquisitions that are more challenging. And I want to also give the public a sense that we start these expropriations really years in advance, and that fair market value offers and plenty of supports to help tenants and business owners are given to manage the change of location. And we'll continue this process, and we will continue to be accessible to property owners, tenants, and the broader community through this process. And this is particularly important at PAPE, where we'll have a huge interchange station, and that'll provide a significant link up with the existing subway system. And we are working closely with the community in PAPE. I want to share with you that we've had a huge success in Presto with the launch of open payments, and we also call it contactless payments. We were the first transit agency in Canada to offer Interact Debit as a payment option. We've worked closely with financial institutions and banks to lower transaction fees for customers using their debit cards on transit. That's a huge success for the banks, and it's very exciting for us. Over the last 2 years, we've launched debit and credit options in a phased manner on the GO network, Up Express, and to all of the other agencies in the 905, as well as now with the TTC. And at the end of August, there were over 2.5 million trips paid for using debit and credit card across all of these agencies, and 700,000 of those in the first 2 weeks of the TTC opening. It's very exciting as we lower the hurdles to transit and make it easier for people to travel. That will encourage more ridership, and we're very excited about that. And that brings us to ridership recovery. And in a year where good weather makes a big difference to whether people make choices on how they travel, especially for leisure and tourism destinations, we've seen a lot of that in the cycle this year. By July, Go and Up ridership were at just under 70%, and on Up it was at about 85% compared to pre-COVID. But what we've seen over weekends is that Go weekend ridership was at 125%, and Up Express was at 99%, and so quite a lot of leisure activity. And when we get Sharon and Rick to speak later, you'll get a sense of how excited we are about ridership recovery, especially in these two market segments. In Niagara Falls specifically, we partnered with WeGo and offered convenient discount packages, and ridership increased by 460% compared to pre-COVID levels. We also support very actively, it's very visible, that we support events such as Carassauga Festival of Culture, Toronto Newcomer Day, York Pride, Taste of Asia, Fun Philippines, Toronto Pride, and we saw a 79% lift on weekend ridership when compared to weekday ridership, which is fabulous. And in August, we partnered with the Toronto Blue Jays as the official transit partner and launched a marketing campaign and activation. And as a result, weekend game day ridership at Union Station grew by 40% and weekdays by 15% compared to non-event days. So one of our strategies now is to take our GO services and adjust it and build it around a brand of being the most convenient transit method to get you to the Blue Jays games and other sporting events. And just in time for CNE, we introduced services outside the rush hour on the Stouffville and Barrie lines, where on weekdays we added 3 trips in each direction at Stouffville between Union and Mount Joy. And on weekdays on the Barrie line, we added 5 additional southbound and 6 additional northbound trips outside of rush hour, while on the Barrie line on weekend services increased to hourly with 9 additional trips in each direction. Sounds like smallish numbers, but these are big increases in services. And in June, we introduced more weekday rail services on the Milton line with an additional trip in each direction in the mornings and afternoons. Milton remains a market that we are very keen and excited to grow in the years to come. And with the introduction of weekend service on the Kitchener line in April, which was extremely well received by the communities along the line, we added more services on Go Bus Route 30. And since the service was first introduced, bus service levels increased by 41%, including the addition of 22 new weekday trips and 14 new weekend trips. We're also adding more services to Brampton and North York on Go Bus Route 32 with 5 new weekday trips, and between Milton and Meadowvale on Route 27A with services running all day, 7 days a week. And we've increased our post-secondary Go Bus service by 34% compared to this time last year along those routes 15, 41, 47, 56, and 88. But ridership requires us to keep that focus, and we're very excited that focus on-time performance. I'm very excited with our coherent and strong focus on operational performance. Operational performance and punctuality and reliability makes the difference to our customers. And our on-time performance for Go and Up Express, if we take it as a blended rate, is about 96.5%, above our target of 96% punctuality. That's very exciting for us. And on Up Express itself, we've achieved 97%, and we've seen our customer satisfaction levels coincide with this focus on on-time performance. And Presto devices continue to perform really well, and the year-to-date availability scores remain above 99.7%. For individual fare payment devices, it's as high as 99.82%, and that matters with so many devices out there. And I want to close finally to acknowledge that this month we are observing the National Day of Truth and Reconciliation, which coincides with Orange Shirt Day. It's a time to reflect on the legacy and impacts of residential schools. Observing these days of significance supports our shared vision of equity, diversity, and inclusion for all our employees, as well as for the communities we serve. I now invite Andrew Hope to share some details on the rapid transit projects.
Thanks, Phil.
Thank you very much. I'm pleased to be here with you this morning to provide some updates on the progress that we're making in the delivery of our rapid transit projects across Metrolinx. I'm going to start today with Finch West LRT. As Phil mentioned in his remarks, we are making very good progress on the delivery of this project. You can see here an image of the escalator installation that's taking place at the Finch West station. This is the eastern terminus of the line, where it will connect with the TTC Line 1 subway at Finch West Station. Very good progress happening all along the corridor at this point as construction nears the finish line. We have about 98% of the track slab poured along the corridor and 88% of the rail installed as of the end of August. The construction of the maintenance and storage facility where the vehicles will be maintained is now complete, and we have all 18 light rail vehicles manufactured and delivered to site and going through various stages of testing as we speak. So very, very good progress on Finch West LRT, and we're looking forward to the remainder of the construction wrapping up before the end of the year. Moving on to Ontario Line, which is increasingly becoming very active all along the corridor. I could probably spend most of this update just talking about Ontario Line today, but there's lots to cover. What I wanted to feature today is some of our early works that are taking place at Exhibition Station. This is a very challenging part of the project. Exhibition Go Station is one of our busiest stations on our Go network, serving C&E, Toronto FC games, concerts, and large crowd events that happen here very, very regularly. And we have to make sure that pedestrians and users of the station not only have a safe experience, but also a good experience and a good high-quality customer service experience as they use this station during this period of construction. And what you see in this image is an additional pedestrian overpass that we're in the process of constructing here. You can see the staircase just in the back of the image there. That will help provide additional safe pedestrian passage while the construction is taking place to build the new exhibition station that will serve both Ontario Line and our GO Rail services when it's completed. You'll see very similar early works taking place on many areas of the Ontario Line, whether it's Queen Street, downtown. A lot more early works taking place up in Thorncliffe Park as we get ready for the start of major construction. And this is to really get some of the early utility relocations and other things out of the way so that we're ready to go with major construction, which will be increasingly ramping up over the next several months. Very excited about the momentum overall on Ontario Line, and we'll be pleased to provide you with more updates over the next coming meetings as we continue to make good progress. Moving out to Mississauga and Brampton, I wanted to provide, I've got two updates to share this morning on the Hazel-McCallion LRT line. The first update is good progress that our contractor Metrolinx is making on track installation. Guideway and track installation construction started earlier this year. It's really focused on the section that we refer to as the burn-in section, which is near the maintenance and storage facility between Top Flight Drive and Matheson Boulevard in the north end of Mississauga. This is where the vehicles will be tested and burned in to make sure they're working properly. So that is where the focus of track installation is right now. And overall on the alignment, we're seeing about 42% of the guideway is now complete and installed, and progress is continuing at a good clip. We've also completed about 74% of the track installation in the operations, maintenance, and storage facility yard where the vehicles will be maintained when the line is in operation. A second highlight I wanted to share on the Hazel-McCallion line is at the other end of the line, down at the south end near Port Credit. And this is some of the construction work that's taking place at Mary Fix Creek. So Mary Fix Creek, running from Old River Road in Mississauga to the Credit River, is a vital piece of infrastructure that helps prevent flooding and erosion in the area around the Port Credit GO station. It's been channelized in a concrete structure for many decades, but as part of this project, crews are reconstructing about 400 meters of the creek bed, which is now nearing completion. And what you're seeing here is where the creek water will be flowing once this work is fully complete. So this new design for the creek is wider and deeper, provides additional flood control for the area based on up-to-date hydraulic modeling, improved safety and climate resilience, all while protecting the community from significant storm damage in the future. And as part of this work reaching a close, we're also able to reinstate many parking spots for transit users that use the Port Credit GO station, which is also a good sign of progress. Moving on to Eglinton Crosstown West Extension, what you're seeing here is an image of the intersection of Kipling and Eglinton, which has been a very active construction site. We've been, over the past number of months, completing the construction of what are called head walls at this location, which will be the future structural ends of the station that's going to be constructed here. Our two tunnel boring machines, Rexy and Rennie, affectionately known as, have already passed this point in their tunneling drives. Rennie's at about the 64% completion mark, having traveled about 4,000 meters since it launched about a year and a half ago. Rexy is close behind at about 60% complete, or 3,800 meters tunneled to this point. And as they go along, the tunnel boring machines install concrete rings, which form the actual structure of the tunnel and make up the walls of the tunnel. And you can track the progress of Rexy and Rennie on our website, where we have a public tracking that shows exactly their location as they continue on in their journey. Speaking of tunnel boring machines, and Phil referenced this in his opening remarks, happy to provide a bit of a further update on the Scarborough subway extension and the tunneling activities that's taking place here. As Phil noted, our tunnel boring machine here we affectionately call Diggy Scardust is the largest TBM ever used in a Canadian transit project at about 10.7 meters. Diggie's actively tunneling and making very good progress over the past several weeks and months, just in the area south of Shepherd and McCowan, heading towards the 401. The liner segments that I referenced on Eglinton West, very similar process here as the tunnel boring machine moves along and it installs these tunnel liner rings. And so far, Diggie has installed over 225 rings since it started. And other news on Scarborough, we have early works construction increasingly ramping up along the corridor. We have had some tree removals and building demolitions taking place at some of the future station and emergency exit building locations along the alignment. Pleased to see that progress continuing. Scarborough Transit Connect, who is our development partner for the station rail and systems contract on the Scarborough project, is making good progress with design. They're co-located with us at our project office up at Scarborough City Centre. And moving on to the Yonge North subway extension, we're not quite in the ground with tunneling yet on the Yonge North project, but we are making good strides. Work has begun on some of the early enabling work that needs to happen at the existing Finch station, TTC Finch station, to set the groundwork for the future construction of the Yonge North subway extension. Much of the work is happening along Hendon Avenue as upgrades are made to electrical infrastructure that will bring power to the new subway extension. And this work will be critical to connect the approximately 8-kilometer long subway extension to the existing TTC Line 1 service. In other news on this project, procurement is progressing and in progress and advancing well for the advanced tunnel contract on the YNSE project. And we anticipate hitting a major milestone later this fall when we release the request for proposals to hire the contractor that will construct those tunnels. Last but certainly not least, a couple of updates on the Eglinton Crosstown project. There's two areas I wanted to feature today. We're continuing to work very closely with our contractor, CTS, as Phil noted, who are accountable under the contract to deliver a safe and reliable light rail transit system to us. Here you can see the interior of Eglinton Station at the intersection of Yonge and Eglinton. Where the photographer is standing is actually on the passenger concourse level that's directly underneath the existing TTC Line 1 subway platform, through which customers will flow before descending to another level down to the platforms to the new LRT when it's open. This location is really been a challenging part of the project. You might recall a couple of years ago, this is where, as the excavation was taking place underneath the existing TTC Line 1 subway concrete box, this is where defects in the bottom of that box were discovered that did result in many months of delay while that situation was rectified. But you're happy to see the progress here today. The station itself is now nearing completion, and the interior is coming together. You can see some of the public art that has been installed in the station, and we're very pleased to see this progress. It's been a long road to get this station to where it is today. Up at street level, not shown in this image, progress continues with basically putting the intersection back together. So CTS is completing final utility relocation and reinstatement work, and then actually building the sidewalks, removing the temporary road decking that's been in place for many years, and then putting the pavement back in place, and that work will wrap up over the next several months. More generally on Crosstown, the focus is, as we've talked about before, very much on testing and commissioning. And consistently, as Phil noted, over the past few months, over the summer, we have continued to make progress with our Crosslinks Transit Solutions, our project co on Eglinton, in getting a schedule in place that clearly outlines all of the activities that require to be completed to get the project to the finish line. So we have a much better understanding and made some very significant progress with CTS on that, which is critical. CTS has also made very good progress over the past several months rectifying some of the issues that we've noted on this project, including track where we had challenges with the track installation that had originally been installed with rail gauge issues and other things. CTS has made a significant amount of progress over the past several months rectifying those issues to the point where in early August we were able to launch a very important part of the project, which is the train the trainer component of the process, which is where we train the TTC trainers who will then train the operators who will operate the LRT when it goes into service. So that phase of activity started in early August. But this is, I would say, the testing commissioning phase in general, a very high-risk area portion of the project delivery process. It does sometimes feel like one step forward, or two steps forward, one step backwards, and this is an example of that. This Train the Trainer program launched in August. It was helpful in uncovering and further rectifying issues that have come up, but CTS did experience some issues with vehicle availability and having the fleet in a state where it was ready to be used as intended by the trainers. And it's really important when we're doing this activity that the trainers are able to operate end-to-end on the line and simulate regular revenue service. And due to some of the fleet availability issues that CTS experienced, this did not progress as smoothly as we had hoped, and we've had to pause this activity for a couple of weeks while these issues are rectified. This is an example of the types of things that come up during testing commissioning that impact the schedule, which make it somewhat unpredictable. But we continue to make progress, and we continue to work closely with CTS and TTC to advance these activities, and we will do the same in this case. As Phil noted, over the next several months, we know there's a lot of interest in progress on Eglinton and that we're making towards completion, and we will be providing regular updates to the public starting very soon as we continue through the testing commissioning process. And with that, I thank you very much.
Thanks, Andrew.
Any questions?
Anyone have any questions they want to ask? Go ahead.
Andrew, could you comment on how lessons learned from the experience, this testing and commissioning, and the things that we're finding on Eglinton are being applied on, like, Finch West, here Ontario? You know, we showed here Ontario laying down track.
Yeah.
How are we applying lessons learned? What are we doing differently going forward as Metrolinx?
Yeah, well, absolutely. It's a very good question, Emily. I'll take your track example as an example. It's about building our capacity here at Metrolinx to manage projects and building our knowledge base and making sure we transfer those lessons learned from one to the other. One area on Finch and here Ontario where we've been working very closely with a relatively new area of Metrolinx called our engineering and asset management team, who have very strong expertise in track and track installation from an engineering perspective. And we have been working very, very closely with them as the track installation process has been happening by our contractors on Finch and here Ontario to make sure that is being done properly and regular checks and making sure that best practices are being used. So we don't have the same issues that we've experienced on Crosstown. That's an area where we've built a lot of capacity over the past couple of years. So just one example of how we're continuing to improve our knowledge and improve our skills and capacity as we deliver these projects.
Any others? Okay, thank you, Andrew.
Okay.
So next up, Stephanie.
Thank you very much. I'm happy to be here today to highlight some great progress that we've made across the GO network through our busy summer months. First, I'll start with Eglinton, where we continue to use modular construction methods. As you'll remember, earlier in the year, we lifted platform canopies into place without service disruptions through this modular technique. And in this case, in the images that you see here, the station platforms are being rehabilitated in 4 segments during major track closures that were already planned for other projects. You'll see the first half here on the north platform being rehabilitated during the July major track closure, during which Ontario Line, East Harbour, and other Lakeshore East corridor widening works were also taking place. Very busy weekend for us in July. Work included demolition of the old platform and curbs, excavation and reconstruction, and as well, of course, our new tactile safety edge strips. And we're really happy to see the continued approach here by this contractor and our project team to improve efficiency and minimize impacts to service and communities while getting this important station expansion done. Moving to over to Hamilton, work is well underway at the Confederation Station. This location currently is served by Go Bus, but we are building out the rail portion of the station to add to our service. In August, the project team installed 4 bridge girders for the new expanded bridge over Centennial Parkway. And as the photo you see here is the second bridge girder being lowered into place. The team is now working on tying in the mechanical and electrical components under the bridge, and this new expanded bridge will allow us to build the additional pocket track and new platforms at the future Confederation GO station. Great progress on the Stouffville line. Earlier in August, the Stouffville Stations and Grade Separation Project reached a very exciting milestone. Customers at Agincourt, Milliken, and Unionville stations can now enjoy new amenities at these 3 stations, including new platforms with canopies and snowmelt systems, new station buildings, elevators, and pedestrian tunnels, and additional parking spaces and passenger pickup and drop-off facilities. A new underpass also separates GO trains from cars, bikes, and pedestrians at Steeles, which helps improve our safety and improve traffic flow as well along that road. New second and third tracks and new noise walls at key points will also enable future 2-way all-day service along the corridor. And we've tripled our service along the Stouffville line over the recent years. These projects will help us better serve communities along the line in Scarborough, Markham, and Stouffville. In Phil's opening remarks, he noted some improvements on the Davenport, progress on Davenport Diamond Guideway, and I just have a really quick update on Davenport as well. You'll remember we brought the new West Main Line track into service in the spring, and we're now making great progress on the construction of the new mechanically stabilized earth walls that will support the east track main line along the guideway as well. In this photo, you'll see the wall coming together at the southern end between Bloor and Peyton Road, and similar work is progressing on the north end of the guideway as well. Phil also mentioned start of construction at our Aurora GO station on the Barrie corridor. I'll talk to you today about the Maple GO station, same corridor, just down closer to Toronto, where construction has progressed even further. The concrete base slab for the southeast platform structure has been poured at the Maple GO station, and we're currently working on electrical, mechanical improvements, and will then begin installing the new stairs and elevators. Both structures on the northeast and northwest sides will serve the future west track, which you can see in the photo here on the right. Like the Stouffville Stations project, these station amenities and second track will benefit customers and allow us to increase service on the Barrie line as part of GO expansion overall. On the Lakeshore East line, the corridor expansion project here has made great progress and is now completing corridor widening along a portion of track between Warden and Kennedy Road in Scarborough. You can see this very evident expanded corridor in these photos here. Further works, including bridge work and retaining walls construction, continues westward along the Lakeshore East corridor towards Pape in various construction sites. And once these works are complete, the Encore project will proceed with installing the future fourth track that will enable expanded service along one of our busiest corridors on the GO network. Turning to Encore, which is working through its development phase, the team is currently carrying out due diligence and investigative works across the GO network to inform their design and construction planning. In June, crews used a rail trolley, shown here, as part of their topographic rail survey of the GO network. And this survey is collecting data on the alignment and elevation of tracks so that we use as a base for future design work with precise information and precise coordinates. The rail trolley makes it easier for surveyors to gather the data they need, and the work was completed overnight to avoid disruptions to the train service. And those doing this work also got some pretty spectacular views of the city, as we can see. It would have been a fun exercise. And last, but definitely not least, to build upon Phil's report, he mentioned the demolition of the Eastern Avenue Bridge. I get the pleasure of showing the time-lapse video of how that work progressed. Here you can see the Eastern Avenue Bridge being demolished on the Lakeshore East corridor. This took place between Broadview and Logan Avenues. The East Harbour team is closely planning their work with the adjacent Ontario line and other teams along the Lakeshore East Joint Corridor in order to minimize impacts overall on-go service. As I mentioned before, during the same major track closure in July, the East Harbour crews completed all of the required preparatory works so they could demolish the bridge during nightly closures of Eastern Avenue the following week, which was very closely and tightly coordinated with the City of Toronto. And in fact, the crew was able to complete the demolition ahead of schedule, and Eastern Avenue was opened to traffic by noon on the Sunday, which was 12 hours earlier than planned. This was an important accomplishment for the team ahead of an upcoming weekend closure in October, where we won't just have several projects working side by side in the corridor. We will also be achieving additional works at East Harbour and other locations with carefully planned coordination of that work. The second half of the bridge will be demolished later in the project, where before a new wider bridge is built that will accommodate both the Lakeshore East GO tracks as well as the Ontario Line tracks at this important interchange station. And that concludes my report. Happy for any questions.
There are very few things as exciting to see a bridge being broken down and rebuilt.
I know. Yes. It is, very quickly, in 30 seconds. Time.
Anytime. Questions, anyone?
So Stephanie, just I thought that trail, the rail trolley example, how is that actually, maybe you can give us a practical example on how actually understanding the terrain and what we're dealing with is going to actually help us in terms of understanding costs and risks for projects as opposed to sort of pro forma projects and in terms of how projects are released versus actually having the real data. Does that help us in the early stages, like better understand costs, better understand risks?
Yeah,
Have this kind of precision?
It does, absolutely. It informs our design process, particularly the track geometry is very important as it relates to track speeds. That's a big portion of what we're trying to accomplish in the Encore project overall, is to increase our track speeds. And so having precision on the geometry of the track and therefore what work needs to be done to make those improvements is very important, so we can assess that cost, make decisions on where we make our investments, and also how we stage that work over time. So absolutely, the better data we have inputting to our designs and therefore our decisions, the better transparency we'll have in order to make those, to package the work in the right way and get to the right outcomes.
Great,
Absolutely.
thank you.
Thanks,
Thank
Paul.
you.
Anything else? Okay, thank you. Thank you, Andrew. Thank you, Stephanie.
Thank you.
So next up, enjoy the ride, our marketing group. Sharon and Rick.
Good morning, and thank you. It's great to be here today. As you heard from Phil, lots of really good news to share, that he stole all my notes, but not all of them. So I did want to contextualize some of those great ridership recovery numbers that you've heard. When we look back at 2022, January 2022 specifically, when you compare us to other major North American commuter agencies, we were 49th when it came to recovery. Pleased to share that today we're second, following just behind Boston. So it's a really great story when we think about all of the activities and focus that we've had in working with operations to ensure that we're meeting the demands and the needs of our riders. So that's fantastic. Additionally, July was a big milestone for us. We had 977,000 unique riders on our services. That is a 123% increase from August 2019. So lots more riders, lots more opportunities for us to get that extra ride out of them, whether it's for going back to the office or to go to an event. And events were the big driver this summer for us. As Phil mentioned, 125% weekend ridership. That's up 20% since we last talked to you in June. And a lot of that was driven by great events like the CNE that saw a 16% uplift in ridership, even though they had the same attendance as last year. Honda Indy, 309%. Pride, 79%. Fun Philippines, which was our first time participating, 37%. So all of these contributed to a really great opportunity for us to get people moving around the region, even though the weather wasn't as good as Phil mentioned. I think we can all agree that that is the case. But again, the Blue Jays, this has been our first year, our first official partnership, and it has been going swimmingly. We've been doing a lot of Junior Jays activations, a lot of co-branded advertising, and just today we launched I think we're trying to will a win here, but this end of season, let's go Blue Jays. So there's some online videos that are launching that actually feature, from activations that we've run, fan posters posted on TSA's actual posters, because the fans are the heart of the experience and we appreciate them, and we know that extending that experience before and after the game on the train helps them get there to get those free goodies and helps them stay to the very last inning. But we want to emulate the success of the Blue Jays partnership. There's so many other sports and events through the fall and winter. So we're looking into not just the data, but also those insights around when people are actually arriving at Union Station and when they're going home. And we're working with Martin and the operations team to see how we can continue to adapt our service to meet the demands while also maintaining the integrity of all of those other trip purposes, all of those other reasons to ride. So big events team working together to optimize every single event. But let's just take a moment. If I ask Sam to play our video, please, and we can just take a quick look back at the summer.
Clear Go Transit's Go Weeko Combo Pass from Toronto to Niagara will be my golden ticket.
Looks like we're using our $10 weekend pass to support a local artist today.
I'm embarking on a weekend adventure with Go Transit and their convenient online weekend pass.
Today?
I took the train.
Go.
Go train.
We took the Go train.
Took the Go train.
When I commute to work, I always prefer to take Go Transit instead of the stress of driving, like traffic and parking, and always having to be on the whole time.
You can now use debit to tap on and off with Presto. So you might be wondering, does Pug also tap? No. No.
Thank you.
It's fabulous, Sharon. Well done.
Well, it's all the team back at the office. We're just faces. So it's obviously been a really busy summer. It's just been a couple of months since we last talked to you, but the fun doesn't have to stop just because it's fall. So we do have a campaign rolling out this fall that's reminding people of all of the places that they can go. We might also be encouraging them to like maybe skip work on a Wednesday and take advantage of a weekday group pass, head out to the falls, have them all to yourself, maybe go to Barrie for the waterfront, Hamilton for the hiking, Toronto for the food. So that campaign has kicked off. It's a really great new creative strategy. It's quite witty, very on brand. In addition, we have partnered with some really great events, including the Ukrainian Festival, which is happening next week, TIFF. We also have just checking my notes, some big events coming up that we're supporting with Diwali, Moonfest. So lots of great activities. We're working with the sports partners to see how we can extend through the season. But one of the exciting things that I wanted to talk about today, and I don't think we get to talk about this a bit because it's quite below the line, is our content creators. So we have a new strategy now with content creators that we trialed it with Go, and it worked so successfully. These are micro content creators, typically under 20,000 followers. They're all local, and they're all authentically brand advocates. They use our services every day, whether it's for leisure, whether it's for commuting. And through our new partner vendor, we use this really cool hand raise tool where we pitch our business solution that we need them to solve. They come back with a great concept or idea. We bring them on board, and we have had incredible success. It is so cost efficient. The turnaround time is around at minimum 4 weeks, which is fantastic. 10 million impressions on our business creator campaign. We're at 8.1 million on our leisure. So we're looking at this as a now baked in part of our strategy moving forward for Up Express for inbound travelers, Presto for contactless payments on TTC, and also for newcomers, so some in-language, in-culture content creators. So I'm very excited about this because the value of storytelling is so compelling and so authentic to our brand. So it's something that we're very, very excited about. So in addition to reflighting the business campaign that I brought earlier in the spring, just reminding people that if they're going back to the office, work from home policies are changing in some regards. Just getting people to enjoy their ride. This is your time. You can take some of that time back. But one thing that we are re-pushing again is obviously with the new services that are introduced for school, getting people, youth especially, to use us to, for the 18 universities and colleges that we serve and all of the new extra services, reminding them. So we have a great campaign that's tracking across Snapchat, TikTok, Instagram, and including a partnership with actually a community engagement team. We worked on them with the Welcome Week package for activations at schools, which has been fantastic. And all of this, I will tell you, because I'm clearly not Gen Z and I'm clearly not cool, is all fully endorsed by, we have a panel of 100 employees that HR helped us find that are Gen Z, and they just check to make sure everything isn't cringy. So we count on them. But with that, I'll hand it over to Rick.
Is that like a cool review panel?
Yes, they are the cool review. I am not cool.
Thank you, Sharon, and good morning, everybody. And as our riders are coming back, both new and old, and enjoying this ride, our team has really been proactively and responding to the dynamic and changing needs of our ridership. And we do that by bringing in new strategic partners to help deliver much desired amenities and events that really look to enhance the customer's experience and also enrich the communities in which we operate and serve. We're extremely happy to highlight some of these 3 key partnerships that we've brought in the last few months. Very excited to launch a multi-year partnership with Scooty, an e-scooter rental service that provides our riders in the community with first mile and last mile opportunities and solutions at Bramley, Mount Pleasant, and Brampton Innovation District GO Station. This partnership not only supports the growing need of the community, but also aligns with the strategic direction of the city of Brampton and what they're developing. So we're really excited about this. Early feedback from customers and the community is very positive, and we're finding this is the new way of travel in certain areas. So we're delighted to be part of that and be a leader in the space of doing so. We're also excited to bring Turo, the global leader in car sharing technology, into our partner family. They provide customers with additional last mile opportunities that really connect our riders to new destinations and new travel options that didn't previously exist. So we're really excited to bring them on as a multi-year partner as well. We continue to focus on delivering high-quality food and beverage amenities at our stations to provide a much better customer experience, and we're excited to finally welcome Second Cup Coffee and Chocolato Cafe at the Union Station bus terminal. So we had a soft launch yesterday, and we're really excited that they are now providing quality specialty coffee and high quality food and beverage options to our bus riders, but also to the surrounding community in the downtown core. This is an exciting partnership for us. We've been working with Second Cup and Foodtastic for many months preparing this. And we're not only looking forward to this location being successful, but also expanding this partnership to other GO stations as well. And finally, we continue to be active in the communities which we serve. We partner with many different local events and host organizing committees to bring together cultural events, festivals, and shows at our GO stations. It's one of our methods of utilizing the station properties that we have and do well in our communities. We hosted a number of events over the past few months, just highlighting Circus Losario that we hosted at Ajax GO, and the Canada Day Mela Carnival and Truck Show at Bramley GO Station, just to name a couple. This is an active area for us, and not only does it bring in non-fare revenue, but it really connects us to the community, but also increases ridership as people within the local communities take our service to get to these events. So very important on all fronts for us to continue in these activities. So to close, with the positive strides in ridership growth and corporate community rebounding, we're very optimistic, and we're excited in the coming months to announce new partnerships and to continue to deliver these type of programs and bring our riders surprise and delight opportunities and offerings, amenities that really enhance the customer experience, but also drive revenue for Metrolinx. Thank you.
Questions? Anyone have any? Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
The video was terrific. Okay, next up is Barclay on Presto.
Hi, everyone. Good morning, and very pleased to be here to share an update on Presto and offering transit users new ways to pay. We know that the expectations of our almost 5 million customers are constantly evolving, and we need to continue to advance Presto to meet these expectations. We do this through continuous improvement each and every month, and through new products to make it easier in terms of paying for transit. Along with a recent reduction in the price of a Presto card from $6 to $4 to make it more affordable, we've now completed rollout of Presto contactless across all client agencies across the Greater Toronto and Hamilton area. This means you can simply tap your debit or credit card either in plastic form or in mobile wallet or a wearable device against any device across all of the agencies. It's been a very successful program, as Phil mentioned earlier. We're now approaching 4 million trips to date. And next up is further transforming the plastic Presto card into a virtual Presto card that can be loaded in a mobile wallet. This includes all the benefits of a Presto card, so all concessions such as seniors, students, and many other concession types, and customers can simply pay for transit again by tapping that virtual Presto card within a mobile wallet, so by phone or certainly by other wearables. And we will, in fact, be one of the very limited geographies globally that has this capability. On August 15th, Phil also mentioned that we met a hugely exciting milestone when we launched Presto Contactless on the TTC. So this completed the rollout, which started over a year ago with a number of other agencies. Very successful launch, and really due to the exceptional collaboration with the TTC and Metrolinx. We first upgraded together 8,700 devices across the TTC network. So this included buses, streetcars, fare gates, and all para-vehicles. This was necessary to make new ways to pay available. We worked very closely with the TTC in driving awareness at launch, and within the first 2 weeks, we've seen over 700,000 journeys already. So just phenomenal response. It's closer to 1 million if we tack on the last week as well. So with this launch on the TTC, transit users can now use Presto contactless across the entire region. And this is a truly innovative product in the space. Presto contactless is the first real-time mass transit transaction open payment solution in the world. What this means is a faster response time for those tapping, real-time fare calculation and validation against a customer's account, and increased fraud controls. So very important. And again, with over 4 million payments now across all of the agencies, we're seeing great traction, and this continues to be more and more of an attractive option. So stay tuned, as I mentioned up front, for the launch of the virtual Presto card in the coming months.
Good. Thanks, Mark.
Thank you.
Questions? Anyone has? Okay, thank you.
Thank
you. The last item is connecting communities. This is Kelly.
Good morning, Mr. Chair. Good morning, everybody. Absolutely delighted to be here today. Going to kick off our presentation with a high-impact video that is representative of the work of the communications and community engagement team in our consultative space over just the last 2 months. So here goes.
At Metrolinx, we're building for the next generation, delivering a world-class transit system. With more than $75 billion in projects reaching more than 8 million Ontario residents, construction is underway all across the Greater Golden Horseshoe. We're using innovative technology and new construction methods on projects that will reimagine and transform this region. From Kitchener-Waterloo to Durham Region and everywhere in between, our teams are on the ground in community offices and at pop-up events, working every day with residents and businesses to help deliver the transit solutions they need and deserve. Building complex transit isn't easy. Tough decisions must be made. But these decisions always have our purpose at heart, serving the communities all across the Greater Golden Horseshoe. We are setting up shop, opening more local community offices, holding pop-ups, hosting open houses, and other events to make sure people feel included, informed, and excited about the transit projects coming to their neighborhoods. In person and online, our teams are with you every step of the way. We're also engaging digital communities in discussions about the projects, their progress, and the benefits. We're working with the media to share critical information to help people understand the work ahead and how it'll impact them.
Sandra Farina at the Emery Village BIA says despite the issues, the contractor and Metrolinx have been communicating with them constantly, something longed for in other areas with massive projects, doing things like
additional signage, not blocking certain driveways.
And we're partnering with local communities and businesses to support them through construction. We do all this because we care. We do all this because at the end of the day, building great transit isn't just about getting people from point A to point B, it's about strengthening connections within the communities and the customers we serve.
Mr. Chair, board members, as you saw in the video, community is at the heart of everything we do. And our communications team purpose is to inform both our high and low impact audiences as it relates to our work and our reputation management, and also amplifying the government's major announcements and milestones as it relates to our capital projects. I'd like to say that the communications team sets the table for our community engagement team. We work together to bring communities into this consultative space and to be clear about the impact that our work is going to have on the community, also the long-term benefits of the projects, and ultimately to communicate that we're going to leave the space better than when we found it. Over the last couple of months, again, our social posts, just to bring things into perspective, 1.2 million impressions across our channels. Our Metrolinx news features have garnered more than 165,000 views. Our media team responded to more than 500 media calls. And as you saw in the video, we had a very special social post featuring the new Ontario line, and it had a media reach of over 50 million. I also like to say we meet people where they are, and that's from Facebook to front doors. We consult with customer residents now to create communities for the future. And during this time, the community engagement team has held hundreds of pop-up events, outreach events. We've knocked on more than 21,000 doors. We've had 17,000 other conversations at public meetings. And eye-popping, we've handed out digitally and at front doors more than 500,000 construction notices. We are everywhere. Now I'll turn it over to Raj to bring a couple of examples to life.
Great, thanks, Greg, and good morning, everybody. Since June 2023, we've continued to serve our communities through consultation, outreach, engagement, and collaborating with our customer residents. We have addressed over 12 key issues, and by better understanding and listening to community concerns and impacts and making decisions, through our construction activities. Take you a minute to walk through a couple of examples in these areas. And Phil mentioned this off the top in his remarks. The design competition is another example of where we heard how important community spaces are to residents who live in Leslieville and the Riverside communities. So we conducted an extensive year-long consultation on public realm design in the neighborhood. Followed an international competition. A community jury selected a winning design, which was announced publicly at an open house in July 2023. We built on that with a multi-channel approach, working with Greg's team on social posts and a Metrolinx blog story, which had a reach of over 3 million. We want to thank all the community members that dedicated their time and commitment to collaborating on this exciting initiative. The second example, we also do consultation to ensure our stations are serving the communities. In August, we hosted an open house, an in-person open house in Etobicoke to share details and collect input from the community about conceptual designs for new stations along the Eglinton Crosstown West Extension. It was a full house. We received a lot of comments. About 160 people joined us in that open house. We received a lot of positive feedback on the engagement process and the design of stations from a majority of the attendees. All the materials, including fact sheets, and resident feedback are posted on our project website. We will be taking this and offering this in a virtual format to ensure that we get more feedback from folks and we remain accessible. And I'm going to pass it over to Kelly to speak about community benefits and supports.
Yeah, so thanks, Raj. Consultation also happens through a program that we have called Community Benefits and Supports. So through this program, we are committed to connecting communities while creating job opportunities, supporting training, supporting local business through local procurement, and promoting the use of social enterprises through our procurement plans. And we're also conducting meaningful engagement, and we find ways to make improvements to community spaces. Across our 3 LRT projects, over 1,300 employment opportunities have been created, and over $169 million has been reinvested into local business and social enterprises through those local procurement opportunities. We're even seeing some early results in the subway program on the Ontario line. Once the Ontario line is complete, nearly 2,600 square meters of added green space will line the parks in Leslieville and Riverside area. We do look forward to regular public reporting on this program as it rolls out to the rest of our capital projects, and we will continue consulting, managing issues, and resolving concerns from our communities as we work to build an improved transit network for all.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Any questions anyone like to pose? Well, it really is an important area in getting out and keeping people informed.
Mm-hmm.
I was on a plane recently and, it was stalled and they never tell you anything that's happening. It's very irritating. Okay? So it's great that you're out there talking to folks.
Yeah.
Keep up the good work.
Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, the last item on the agenda is the quarterly reports, which we take as read unless anybody has a particular question they'd like to ask on any of those areas. Any questions? Okay. Seeing none, we will terminate our public meeting. Thank you very much for joining us this morning.